I had a crazy work ethic. And that was from just being younger and having that chip on my shoulder that I was smaller. My whole thought process was no matter what, nobody's going to outwork me. At the end of the day, if they're wanting to go bigger or they have these recruits or you go to camps and you're playing and you see these top talent, guard that top talent. You know, show them why your size doesn't matter. My AU coach at the time, he had me playing against guys. So I was able to kind of go hard in a way of like trying to outwork them because they were bigger than me, but also I was always in the gym. I could shoot the ball, I could score as a point guard, I could pass the ball, and I can defend.
Did you know that I have 2 books? One called The Little Girl with Big Dreams. It's about an ambitious little girl who overcomes every no to say yes to that dream. The other is called Changing Lanes. It teaches you about the things that you learn from sport and how it translates to life after sport. Be sure to check these out at itsjustdifferentpod.com. Let's get to the episode. Welcome to the It's Just Different podcast, where we bring on people who have been where you are trying to go and or have helped countless athletes get there. Today, we have a special guest, one of my favorite players, honestly. I love watching her play. From Houston, Texas, played at the University of Texas. A lot of different awards, but we can't leave out Big 12 Player of the Year. Currently playing professionally overseas. Have played in Finland, Sweden, Mexico, and currently in Turkey. We got Brooke McCarty Williams. What's going on, Brooke?
How you doing? It's been a long time.
I know, and we've been trying to get this episode done. This 8-hour difference is like killing me because I can't count or something. Like I kept going backwards. We couldn't get the time right. So I'm glad we're here. I'm glad we are here. But you just celebrated a birthday, right?
I did. October 2nd, Libra.
Hello. Yes. Libra gang here. This Libra gang today is my birthday. So
your birthday today, yes. Come on, birthday girl.
Yes, them Libras. I love the whole Libra connection. It's something about us Libras. So yeah.
Best sign there is.
Yes. Where are you currently? You're at home, huh?
Yeah, I'm at home right now, but I'm in Ankara, Turkey.
And I'm in DC, so it is a 9-hour difference, right?
No, it's a 7 hour. So it's 8
I'm
hours.
Still getting it wrong.
Texas. Yeah, so it's 7 hours from 8 hours from Texas, and so East Coast would be 7 hours.
Got it. I guess it don't matter. We here now. We here.
We here now. Okay, we don't forget about all that.
How has it been in Turkey?
It's good. It's definitely, a learning experience. I think that from the countries that I've been in already, there's been a lot more English that has been spoken. But here, it's very rare that they speak English. And so someone always has to, we always have to use Google Translate or you find one person out of like 20 that speaks English. And so it's been an adjustment for sure, especially with just the language barrier, but also, adjusting to the big city life and just being over here in general. So, but I say overall, it's been good.
And you just probably answered one of my questions, so you got to give me something different. But I like to start the podcast off with something that's different, whether that's in youth basketball, women's basketball in general, or whatever. But I want to ask you, what is different from the different countries that you've been in compared to where you're at now?
I think the level of play, it's definitely, I wouldn't say much higher, but definitely probably a good bit of, there's a lot of quality players here. There's quality players everywhere, but this league is just a different league. So I'm in the Super League here. And so, you play against a lot of the top talent, and then it's kind of different too. A lot of the players that I play with are Turkish, besides the Americans and some, Europeans that come over. But a lot of them stay home, especially if they're, top talent or whatever the case may be in this country. So I think that that's pretty cool over here. So
yeah. And you just said
the stay home.
Okay. And you just said something about levels. I'm curious. I have not played overseas. Like, what are the different levels? What does it mean? Like, I always hear different players talk about that. Like, oh, I'm going to a different league, or it's a higher level. Like, what does that mean, and what does that look like?
So honestly, I don't know much about it either. Like I play, but I'm not a super big basketball head. So what I've learned though is that Turkey is one of the top leagues as far as all of the leagues goes, and a lot of these countries have multiple levels. So like here, I'm in the Super League, but they do have a second division. They have, I don't know if they have a third division, but a lot of other places have top league and then second division, third division. But um, the top that a lot of quality players go to is like Turkey, France, Spain, those type of countries, and then you have other countries that aren't as strong, and I wouldn't say they aren't as strong because of you know the talent, but I think that overall here you have a lot of talent with your Americans, but also quality European players and then quality Turkish players. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's not to say that other leagues are not as good, but when you look at the across the board, there's just certain things that if you're coming from this league or this league, they look at that to be in these top leagues, I guess.
Makes sense. Okay, we went straight into overseas. I want to take us back just a little bit. More
Okay.
about you. So, from Houston, Texas, played at Texas. What was your recruiting like?
Um, my recruiting was pretty hectic. I had been receiving letters and things like that since I was in seventh grade. But in hindsight, looking at it, I had been going. I was always the youngest person on like playing on an older team, and
Mm-hmm.
so when I'm playing with these older girls and stuff, it was their time in high school to be going to these camps and getting recruited and things like that. So a lot of coaches were able to see me at a young age, and I was able to go to these camps and be seen, talk to the coaches and things like that. So I think once recruiting time came around, I was kind of over it because it was a long road. Since when you're young and you're constantly like talking to coaches and receiving these letters and stuff, it's kind of like you've pretty much heard a lot of what they want to say or like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this and that. But now it's time for you to actually start getting on the phone with them and things like that. So I think for me, it was hectic just because I was ready to get it over with once it officially started.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, but like I said, that was because of the long road of it. But I think that it was easy for me as well, just because I kind of already knew where I wanted to go. And
You knew
so
you
it
wanted to be
wasn't
a Longhorn, huh? You knew it.
a little bit. See, Texas, I didn't know. I really, growing up, I
Wait,
did not want to go to
it was LS. Was it LSU? That's what I
LSU.
thought. I was
Yeah.
gonna say, yeah, it was LSU. Yeah.
Yeah, it was LSU. Texas came into the picture pretty late. So we had back when I was younger, like I said, I was going to all of these camps and stuff. I had went to the LSU camp, and
Mm-hmm.
that's when Coach Travis was one of the assistant coaches at LSU. And so from that day on, I loved LSU. I wanted to play for Coach Travis, yada yada yada. And so that was even though he had left that school, I still wanted to go there because I think that they had Nikki McCray at the time,
Mm-hmm.
or Nikki Caldwell at the
Yeah.
time, and I loved her and I loved like what her vision and everything like that, and so that was where I was gonna go until my last year of AAU. Karen, she started to show interest and came to a lot of my games in the summer, and it just so happened that Coach Travis started coaching there, and so I kind of talked to her and started getting familiar with her, and I really liked her thought process of where she wanted Texas to be and things like that, and so that's when Texas started coming into the picture real late, and so
Mm-hmm.
at last minute I switched and was like, you know what, I'm going to Texas. So
Yeah.
no, growing up, I never wanted to go to Texas ever. I actually was like, I'm not staying home. Like
Yeah.
I'm going out of state, and then it switched. But
So
I
did you
also
commit?
knew,
You committed? Did you
I'm
commit
sorry.
to? Did you commit to LSU?
No, I was about to, and then
Mm-hmm.
I changed my mind. Um, but I also too, I played with Bree in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
I had played against Empress. I played against Ariel and Tasia. All of that. So it kind of just seemed like the right fit as well, because I knew all of them, and it was giving me that home feel, and I'm a homebody, so it actually turned out being a good decision for me.
A homebody talking about, I want to go out of the state.
Girl, I don't know what I was thinking, okay? Because I was only 3 hours away, and I was the most homesick that you could ever be. Let me tell you, my mom was there almost every weekend, so I don't even know what it would have been like if I went to LSU.
Yeah, shout out to the mom. She definitely was at everything. I love to see that. How was so you knew LSU? That's where I'm going. I know the coaches was like, yeah, we got her. Like, even though you had committed, I know they was thinking like, okay, we got her. How was that conversation? How was that conversation letting them know that you're going somewhere else?
It wasn't a good one.
Yeah.
It was kind of, I think, because literally that week before, maybe I had went on my another visit to LSU. So I was going. My mom was taking me a couple of times because I was kind of battling between Texas and LSU. But I knew that I wanted to go LSU, but I didn't know why I kept wanting to go back and see more practices at Texas. And so the conversation, I'll never forget, we were sitting in my mom's room. It was just me and her, and she was like, are you sure? Do you want to change your mind? It's okay if you change your mind. Like, there's nothing wrong with that or whatever. And I was just like, yeah, I think so. And so I called Nikki, and I was just like, I'm going to go with Texas instead. And she just kind of sat on the phone, and she was just like, I don't think that's a good decision, but, I wish you the best, and yada, yada, yada. So that's kind of how that went. And it hurt a little bit because I had wanted to. That's where I was like, my whole room and clothes, LSU. But at the same time, I knew that, it was the right decision.
No, and I feel like that's something that's so hard for kids now, like especially how it is now. Like, it's just, it's hard, and all these schools are recruiting them, and you got to make a decision. Like, I see obviously like people putting out they top 10, they top 5, and all of those different things, and I'm like, ooh, you got to tell somebody no.
Like, it's funny that you're saying these top 10s and top 5s because, not saying back in my day like I'm old, but like back in the day, I don't remember.
We didn't do none of that.
We didn't. So for me, like, it's so crazy to see how like people are like, oh, my top 10, top 20. I'm just like, I didn't even know what top this and that. Like, how do you choose? But yeah, no, it's definitely crazy now.
Brooke, I feel like we legit getting old. Like, what? Like, I was talking to somebody else, and I was like, back when we played, like, oh my God.
Like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, these young kids. I'm like, wait, I'm still kind of young. Hold on.
Right. Like, I can still get out there and hoop just a little bit. Like, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
No, but it's crazy. Like, yes, like, I feel like with that, like, they got to put out a top 10. They got to put out a top 5. And you build all these relationships with these coaches, and as a kid, it's hard. That's why I wanted to see, like, how is that for you? Because it's hard to call a coach and tell them that you're not going to their school, or they not in your top 10, they not in your top 5, whatever the case may be. So hard.
Yeah. And I think that too, it was definitely hard for me, but also at the same time, like, I had the coaches and things that were going to keep it real with me as far as like people who I played AAU, things like that. So they like told me like, look, it's a business. So like, if you don't decide to go there, somebody else is going to decide to go there.
That's a fact.
And so I think that that's what people don't understand is like, yes, like you are choosing your place to go, but also it is a business. Like, if you're not going to go there, they're going to find somebody else to go there. So wherever you go, like, okay, you still, even if you go into this college, you have to find your way in that college. Like, the system, the coach, this and that. So for me, it was hard, but at the same time, it was like there's a lot of people out there who are going to have an opportunity too. Like, so I don't know if the Texas school that I want to go to is already trying to fill my, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that once you learn that, if you learn that it's a business before you get to college, then you'll be completely more like okay with your decisions.
Yeah, that's a bar. How tall are you, Brooke?
5'4".
5'4". Because I was thinking like 5'3", but we're gonna go with 5'4".
We're going 5'4".
We're gonna go with 5'4". So being a small guard, Like, I think that that's a big thing now. You know, every time I'm a grassroots director, and every time I'm talking to coaches, at the end of the day, they're saying, "Oh, we want to get bigger. We want to get bigger. You got the transfer portal. You got so much going on." You know, it's always been hard for small guards, I feel like, but now it's even harder because everybody wants to go bigger. You know, what was some of the things that you did to stand out, being 5'4"? We're gonna stick with 5'4".
Honestly, I had a crazy work ethic.
Mm.
And that was from just being younger and having that chip on my shoulder that I was smaller. So for me, my whole thought process was no matter what, nobody's going to outwork me. And at the end of the day, if they're wanting to go bigger, or they have these recruits, or you go to camps and you're playing and you see these top talent, guard that top talent. You know, show them why your size doesn't matter. So I think for me, being able to play with the older girls at a young age really kind of, I had to do something different because they were obviously, of course, all bigger than me. And at the time, I'm in middle school, they're in high school. So 5'4" now, I wasn't 5'4" back then, you know?
Right.
And so I had to play against those older players. And then my AU coach at the time, he had me playing against guys. So I was able to kind of go hard in a way of like trying to outwork them because they were bigger than me, but also I was always in the gym. I could shoot the ball, I could score as a point guard, I could pass the ball, and I can defend. And so I think that at the end of the day, those are some of the qualities you have to have as a smaller guard. You got to be able to shoot because you're not just gonna go into a lane of 6'7", 6'5", you know, and just put the ball up easily. So you got to create some type of floater, which is what I worked on a lot, was a floater. And so just being able to kind of do different things to make yourself stand out. Like, yeah, you are small, but like, can you defend somebody full court? Can you shoot the ball if they're gonna go under screens, or are you that person who's just gonna pass? So now you're really not a threat. So anybody can get a guard who's small, who can facilitate the offense, but also are they a threat themselves so that they can be able to, you know, the defense has to pay attention to them. So I think for me, it was just having that work ethic and always wanting to outwork the next person. And if I'm going to a camp, if I'm going, you know, to play against this person or whatever, I'm going to make sure that 100% of the time I'm going to give you my all. So that stands out. That's what people don't really understand, is like that work ethic of hustling after the balls, getting those loose balls, you know, or being able to be scrappy, things like that. Like that stands out to college coaches more than any points that you can put on the board. You know,
Because you can't
obviously,
coach
if you can
that.
score that, right, you can't coach that. And so at the end of the day, if they have somebody they know that they can put in the game and who gonna go get them 2 extra loose balls, or who gonna go guard the best player, or, you know, whatever the case may be, that's something that they don't even have to worry about. They can teach the other stuff. So I think that that's what a lot of people fail to realize. Is like, you can have the talent, but if somebody's gonna work hard and you can teach them that talent, why not?
Yes, yes. And I agree with everything you just said. Like, being a small guard, like, you have to, like, the work ethic, you got to be all over the place. You got to be scrappy. You got to be able to defend. And the biggest thing you said that I think a lot of people miss out on is you got to be able to shoot
Yeah.
consistently. Like, it's not like,
Yeah.
oh, you can knock a shot down here and there. You have to be able to shoot, because it's not a lot of layups when you get to college.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, at the
Exactly.
end of the day, it's not a lot of layups. So you got to be able to shoot. So I love that you said that.
Exactly.
It's so funny because I will never forget this. Like, it was at a Texas game. I went to watch y'all play. Or I think it was a Texas game. It was something. It couldn't have been a Texas
Okay.
game because it was another coach there that was coaching in the
Okay.
Big 12. I ain't gonna say no names, but they was coaching in the Big
Coming
12.
out us.
No, that's why I said it couldn't have been a Texas game. Maybe. Did y'all go to state?
We went to state my junior year of high school.
That's what it was. It
And
was
we got
state.
smacked by Arizona. Yeah.
Yep. It was state because they were there, but it was another Big 12
Yeah.
school there. And I was like, why y'all not recruiting Brooke? And they was like, oh, she too small. She not going to be able to do that in college. She's not going to be able to do this. And Brooke got Big 12 Player of the Year. I mean, I'm just saying. So I like, it just goes to like what you're saying. Like there are gonna be people that say, "Oh, she too small or she can't do this," and it's about like what you believe you can do and going out there and showing people is the biggest thing.
100%. I think that, you know, at the end of the day, like they can say you're too small, they can say this, and that. But once you step between the lines, it's like, who's gonna get it done?
Yeah.
So if you small, but if you gonna scrap, at the end of the day, it's like you never know what you're really gonna get because you can scout so much stuff, but you can't scout that.
Yep.
So
Yep. No, I agree with that. But we had 4 years at Texas, and then you went. You had were you in the W for a little bit, or you just went
I
straight
went
overseas?
so I went straight overseas. I went to LA training camp and I got cut there, and then I went
Yeah.
overseas, and then the next year is when I made it in Dallas.
So overseas, that was the first one was Finland.
hmm
And how long were you there?
From the end of, I want to say the end of October. Was it end of October? Yeah, end of October until right before WNBA season started.
Okay.
So maybe Mayish.
And you got cut during training
Some
camp.
the first, yeah. So right out of college, I went to LA and I got cut there. And then so I went to Finland, played my whole season there, and then I came to Dallas, and that's when I made the team.
Got it. So let's talk about LA for a little bit. Like, what was that like? Why do you think you got cut? Like, what was that experience like?
The experience was great. I think that being surrounded by so many vets,
Mm-hmm.
um, and so at that time, Cappy Pondexter, she
Mm-hmm.
was playing up there. She's a seasoned vet or whatever the case may be. So I think I learned so much in that camp as far as like how to be a pro, as far as what a guard, because she was a small guard too,
Mm-hmm.
and what a guard, like how to get my shots, what to do, like how to kind of fit in. You have to kind of find your role. And so that was different from me a little bit because coming from Texas, I'm playing 40 minutes a game,
Yeah.
you know. And so when you get to the league, a lot of people don't really talk about that. It's like you have to kind of find your role. So for me, again, I'm starting back at scratch. It's like, okay, we have all these guards here, like Chelsea Gray, Cappy. We had Odyssey there. We had somebody, what's her name? Short guard. I can't remember her name right now, but she was there. So I was behind a
Mm-hmm.
long list of
Slew
good
of
guards,
talent. Yep.
Right. And so for me, it's like, what can I do to kind of stand out? And it was just guarding them, being a
Mm-hmm.
tough defender, being able to, be scrappy. At that point, I wasn't even thinking about scoring this, scoring that. Like, of course, if my shot came to me, yeah, okay, I'm going to shoot it. But at the same time, it's like, you got to think now, too, that, like, those are their shots that they're taking. So your job kind of is really to get them the ball, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And so for me, that was kind of a learning experience because I was the go-to. And now I'm coming to giving up the ball and, mainly being a defender in practice or mainly being another body to kind of get the team ready for the season.
Mm-hmm.
And so I learned how to kind of use what I could to get on the court. And then I also just learned how to be a pro from that. So I think overall it was a good experience. I did not like LA.
Yeah.
As far as the city, I am not an LA girl. But I think that being away and being able to be uncomfortable in that environment was a good thing for me too, because I wasn't close to home to where somebody could just drive a couple hours to come see me. I was just kind of out there and handling business. I'm in my business now, so
Mm-hmm.
I was going to work every day. So
Yeah.
I think that was good for me to be uncomfortable and then just realizing that the pro business is different than college.
Yeah. And you dropped a lot of bars like in that whole thing. One of the things that you talked about was your role. Like at Texas, you was playing 40 minutes, right? Like the ball was in your hands, right? But then you had to go into this different role and you had to adjust. Like I think that that's something that athletes need to hear because a lot of times like they'll think like, oh, with my high school I get to do this, I can do that same thing with my AAU team, or in AAU I got to do this, I'm going to be able to do that same thing in college. And it just doesn't work that way. Like everything is a role, like
Yep.
like you said, you played 40 minutes and you were scoring a lot of points at Texas.
Yeah.
Well, like you just said, in LA, like you had to focus on getting everybody else the ball and being able to
Right.
defend. So I think that that's
Right.
very important for athletes to hear. Like every team, every level, every new level, you pretty much gonna have a different role.
That's very important what you said about even coming from high school and going to college. Like, I wasn't playing 40 minutes as a freshman, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think people really have to understand that what you're doing in high school, yes, you are a great player, but what you're doing in high school and what you're doing in AAU, it can translate, but it's going to translate differently when you get to college. You
Hmm.
have guards and stuff who have been there for 3-4 years, vets, and at the same time, like their position is not just going to go away because you come in and you have a high talent or whatever the case may be. Like, you still have to learn the system. You still have to learn that some of the things that you got away with in AAU and high school ball, you can't get away with in
It's not
college.
happening. It's
Um,
not happening.
yeah, like they're actually you're learning scout. There's a lot of stuff that goes into going into college and then going into the pros. Like,
Hmm.
and you have to understand that it'll take some time, but it's okay to kind of find your role for a little bit and then later on be able to shine.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that doesn't take away from you as a player. That doesn't take away from you as a person. It's just there's certain systems that you have to fit into. And if you don't know that before going to college or before going to the pros, then you're kind of like, oh, snap, like, what do I do? But at the same time, it's like it's a learning curve. And you're going to
Yes.
be able to do what you do eventually. It's just you have to fit in to where you can fit in.
Yep. Like learning curve for sure. Like you said, scout. Like it's more than just the talent, like being able to go
But
hoop. Like you said,
yeah.
being a freshman, you got all these other players who understand scout, who understand what the coach wants, understand
Mhm.
eating habits, understand schedule. Like
Yeah.
you're put on a schedule that you have to follow, understanding what it looks like to actually lift weights. Like all of those things are come into play when you're going into college. It's not just being able to put the ball in the hoop. It don't work that way.
Right.
So I think that's
Exactly.
definitely
And
important.
yeah, for sure. I agree.
But after LA, um, and I think you already said this. That's when you went overseas, right? Or you went overseas first? You went to Finland
Right.
first.
Yeah, after LA, I went to Finland.
Okay, and you were there for how long?
From the end of October until like January, February, March, April. I want to say end of April,
Hmm.
I
And
believe.
then
Yeah, because I was
once
able
you
to come back and grad. No, yeah, yeah, end of April. End of April, I
okay,
think.
and then once you were done with Finland, you went somewhere else, or you came home?
I went to Dallas.
Okay. Yeah, my memory is like all off. So
Yeah. Like, no, so after I left Finland, I went to Dallas for training camp, and that's when I made the team there, and so I had my season there.
what did you do anything differently from LA to Dallas? Like what did that look like for you to be able to make a roster in Dallas?
I think my mindset was different. Going into LA, I kind of had that like that thing in the back of my mind of like, okay, I wasn't drafted,
Mhm.
and I wanted to prove something.
Mhm.
I don't know who I was proving it to, but like prove maybe like why I should have been drafted or whatever the case was. I don't even remember. But going into Dallas, it was more of like, look, I'm just gonna go in here and compete, and I'm gonna do what I do, and if it happens, then it's supposed to happen. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. So I literally went in there with nothing on my mind, nothing on my shoulders, like just going in there to have fun and compete and see if I can make the team. And I
Mhm.
think that was the best decision I made as far as like going into training camp was just to go in there and give 100% every day and compete and guard the best player, whoever was there or whatever the case may be. Try to be the first to do this, and that, and just try to see how hard that I could work every single day. And
Mhm.
if it panned out the way I wanted it to pan out, then it would. And so it ended up that was probably the best decision I made because I didn't feel any pressure. I didn't feel like I had to make the team. I didn't feel like, I think going into LA, I felt a lot of pressure just because like I wasn't drafted. So now I'm here being able to compete, and I'm competing, but I'm trying to prove on like, oh, I can go in here and make the team, or I can go in here and, this and that. And it kind of like if I didn't have a good shooting day or something, it would like literally sit on my shoulders, And so I think going into Dallas is the best decision I made, just because I was carefree about it, and I didn't care, whether I made the team or not. Obviously, I wanted to, but at the same time, it was just like go in there and compete and see what you can do.
Listen, y'all hear my girl. Take the pressure off of yourself, parents, athletes. Like, take the pressure off yourself. It makes life so much easier. It makes playing. Like, you're able to just go hoop. You don't have to worry about like, oh my God, what my mama gonna say, what my daddy gonna say, or like, oh, I missed this shot. Am I gonna get taken out? Like, just hoop.
Yes, I'm telling you, it's once you stop, and I know it's hard, especially, you being an athlete, me being an athlete, like we are hard on ourselves. Anybody could say this and say that, but like down, like we're the ones beating ourselves up about it. And so I was really bad at that, like I would be, if I didn't, perform right, or if I was in the gym after a game, if I didn't shoot well, this and that, all throughout college. And granted, it paid off, but at the same time, like I was beating myself down when I could have just let it go and been fine the next day. And so I think that's huge, is learning how to kind of let it sit on you for a little bit, but then let it go. Because if you hold on to something, it's just going to string along. Now that one bad game could turn into 2, 3, 4, and so that's the worst thing, is if you hold on to something, then you can't even get past it to be able to have a good game the next time. So I think take that pressure off for sure.
Yes. And how long were you in Dallas?
The whole season. So
you played one season there?
Yeah.
After Dallas, where did we go?
After Dallas, I had my son.
That's what I was trying to get to. I was like, where is the baby? Like, there is a baby somewhere in this.
After Dallas, Dallas was, and mind you, I've had tough coaches, and I'm pretty tough to get under my skin, But Dallas for me was mentally draining in a way. Like I was there, I was happy that I made the team, but just the day in and day out of it, I was kind of finding myself like mentally drained, just from, basketball, and also I had gone from being year round, and then now that I made the team, I thought that like, oh, okay, like now it's gonna be good, but like it ended up draining me really a lot mentally. And so after I was having conversations with my husband, and I was just kind of like, I don't know, if I still want to play. I don't know if this is, for me, whatever the case may be. And he was like, well, it's whatever you want to do. Like, you don't have to play. If you want to play, you can. If you don't, then that's fine. You can come home and you can just kind of, figure out what you want to do. And so I ended up getting pregnant.
You came home, all right?
Okay, came home for sure. But no, I wanted a kid. And it just so happened that at that time I got pregnant. And so, yeah.
I love
I was
that.
able to just come home.
So I want to go back just a little bit from like the mentally draining piece. I think that kids now play a lot of basketball. And my honest opinion, I think too much basketball. And I think burnout happens, like, but a lot of times kids don't really know, like, okay, am I burnt out? Am I mentally drained? Am I tired of it? Do I like it? Like, what's going on? Like, what helped you either cope with that? Like, how did you know, like, I just need to take a break?
Because I felt myself, so like I said, like I'm a gym rat, and I have been since I was young. Like whether we had a 5-hour practice or whatever the case may be, like I wanted to kind of get in the gym and still shoot so that I could feel like I was ready for the next day. Well, during I think I maybe went to the gym after practice like once throughout the whole season. Like I wasn't going to the gym. I knew, and my husband was like, baby, like you ain't gonna go get no extra shots, like because he knows, and I'm like, nah, like I'm just not feeling it. And I actually called him, and I was just like, can you come get me? And it was like during the season, we were almost, I don't know if we were, I think we were almost towards the end, but I was just so like, I didn't like coming to the gym. I didn't want to see nobody that had anything to do with basketball. And obviously, you know, I'm not saying these things because at the same time, it's like, this is my job now. Like, what am I complaining about? You know, some people really have to complain about, but I was just like, I didn't want to see the coach. Like, I didn't want to see the assistant coaches. I didn't want to see my teammates. Like, I wanted to be by myself or go home. And so I called him and I was just like, babe, I'm ready for you to come get me. Like, I can't do this. And he was like, well, I'm on my way. But I was like, you know
Let's
what?
go,
Like, I can't.
husband. I'm
Okay,
coming. I'm coming
like,
to get
come
you.
on. But I was like, you know, I can't leave because I don't want to not finish what I started. And so for me, it was just the fact that I didn't want to see nobody outside of the gym. I didn't want to go to the gym. I didn't even want to be at practice. In the games, I was mentally checked out. And so I think it was just for me, it was just, I don't know if I was burnt out or if it was just a lot of stuff that was happening over the season that I just could not, it wasn't fun to me anymore. And basketball is usually my outlet. Like, okay, let's go hoop at the gym. Let's go have fun. But like, now, and it's not necessarily that now it was a job because I feel like it's always been my job. You know, like whether I'm in college, I got to perform, I got to do this, you know, but now it's just kind of like, why is it not fun for me anymore? Or like, why am I not enjoying what I should be enjoying? Like I'm doing what I want for a living, you know what I
Right.
mean? And so I think that was the biggest standout to me was like, I wasn't going to the gym and I didn't want to be there.
At all.
Girl, at all. Like when I tell you at all, at all.
And so you went home, had your baby. How long were you on break? What was your break
From
like?
when I left Dallas.
Yeah.
So that was when COVID hit 2020. Well, no, end of 2019. So I got pregnant. I found out I was pregnant in October of 2019, and then I had him in June 2020. And so I didn't go back to hooping until, was it 2021?
Was it? I thought it was like 2022 or something.
Let me see. So I had him. We went when he turned 1. I was still in the States. Yeah. So after he turned 1, I left to go to Sweden in the end of August of 2021. Yeah.
Bruh,
So
like
2019 to
what?
2020.
How do you have a baby and then go play? Like, what was?
Oh, let me tell you, it's hard, okay? It's not, I wouldn't say, for me personally, now I can't speak for all women, but like me personally, I only gained 20 pounds and it was literally all belly.
Yeah.
So I think that was a plus for me because, and I also, whenever I was pregnant, I didn't work out. I didn't even want to go walk. I didn't want to see no weights. Like I just didn't. And I didn't start working back out until the January, February. And I wasn't consistent, but about January or February of 2021.
And what made you
So
like? What made you say, okay, I think I want to play again? Because you was done with it.
I was. I think that for me at the time, when I was thinking about it, it was like I've given so much of my life to basketball. How could I leave it on such a bad note? And so for me, when I'm thinking about it, is when I'm old and gray, and I'm looking back on things that I did in my life. Okay, did I do everything that I wanted to do with basketball? Did I leave it on a good note? Because I don't want to have any regrets about it. Like when I walk away from the game, I want to be like, okay, yeah, I'm done. You know. And I think for me, I left on such a bad note at the end of 2019 that I didn't want that to be my memory of something that I dedicated a lot of my life
Entire
to.
life, yeah.
So I think it was that part of like I wanted to leave it on a good note and not how I did.
And that's when you went to where did you go? Sweden. And what was that process like? Like just getting back acclimated to hooping, to working out, to did your baby come with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had actually started working back out because my husband was in the military, so we lived on the East Coast in Virginia. And he made the decision that he wanted to move me and my son back to Houston because that's was when we started talking about it. And that's where all my trainer was. That's where we would have more help because we didn't have family and stuff in Virginia and things like that. So he was like, well, if you really want to do this, like, I'm going to move y'all back, because he was going out to sea on the boat and things. So he wouldn't even be home. So he was like, I want to move y'all back to Texas. So if you're really serious about it, you can start working back out on your own time, like do what you want to do. And then we'll have help, so my mom could watch him while I go work out, or I have family there, friends and things like that. And so when I started working back out at first, I was just kind of I had to get back into the mode of like, okay, if this is what I want to do, I got to go hard. Because I would go like Monday and then I wouldn't go again until Saturday or whatever the case may be. So I gave myself that time of like not forcing myself to go back, but also like, okay, if you want to do it, like you got to eventually start going very regularly. So after the week turned, and then it would go, I was going Monday, Wednesday, then I would go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Then I started going to the track by myself. And then I was working out with my trainer again. And I was actually enjoying the fact that I didn't have to work out to go to practice, or I didn't have to work out to do this. I could just go work out, and I'm just trying to get better, or I'm trying to get back in the groove of things. And my trainer at the time really helped out too, because he knew like, okay, he didn't want to be like, hey, come to the gym every single day. Hey, do you want to come here today, or you want to go tomorrow? Or, you let me know what it was like. So I didn't feel like I had to rush back into it. And so I ended up starting to love it again, just because I was back in the gym on my own time. It was just me and my trainer, or me and my trainer and people we worked out with, and we're just getting it in. We're not trying to do this or that, and then once the time started coming around to leave overseas, I think I started getting a little nervous, because I was just like, man, I haven't played in 2 years, like I don't know what it's gonna be like, but it's like we done this our whole lives, so it kind of just fell into place, honestly.
Yep. And the biggest thing you said was basically like you took it slow. Like it was a process. Like you didn't force yourself like, okay, I want to play, so I got to be in the gym every single day. Like it went from 1 day to 2 days to 3 days
Right.
to, it was just like a process and on your own time. And then you start to love the game again. Like I think that's huge. Like for when kids are now like feeling burnt out, or like feeling like they don't like it, or whatever the case may be, it's like, okay, let's take a little bit off your plate a little bit, and let's take things in bits and pieces.
Right. And I think too, my son helped with that
Yeah.
as well, because now like I don't just have the time to be sitting around and just go to the gym whenever I want. Like I have somebody who needs me to take care of them. So it's like, okay, well, maybe I can get here, but then around this schedule, this is nap time, this is da 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 da. So it was kind of like I had to juggle those different things of like, okay, well, I can't go work out today because my son needs me to stay home because he's grumpy or whatever the case. So I think that was good for me too, just to have that balance.
Yeah. And when you went overseas, who was it? Just you and your son?
No, so my first year, my mom was able to come with me because of COVID and stuff like that. Her job was able to let her like go and yada yada yada. So I was thankful that she got to come with me, because, like I said, my husband was on the boat or whatever, and so she got to come with me, and she kind of watched him while I would go to practice and things like that.
And then when you went back after
The second year.
Say it again.
The second year?
Yes.
My husband came.
Got it. And is that
Yeah.
currently where you at now? Like these whole different I'm still like trying to put
No, so I went, the first year I went to Sweden.
Yep.
And then I came back a second year.
To Sweden.
So I went back. I went back to Sweden the second year. So I loved it, and we had to win a championship or whatever the case may be. And then then this past summer I went to Mexico, and now I'm in Turkey. So I had 2 years.
Got it. And your husband has been with you throughout. Love it. Love it. Now, being at Turkey, you said that's like the, whatever you want to call it, highest league or whatever you want to call it.
One of the highest.
One of the highest leagues. I'm assuming competition is better. Like, what is that like schedule like? Are y'all currently like what is your schedule currently?
Actually, our schedule is not too crazy. We have a practice usually around like 12:30, and it lasts for maybe like 2 hours, and then I'm free the rest of the day.
And no, you're not the only American, are you?
No. So it's me, Shatori, V, uh, VV, and then we have a Swedish girl, Natalie.
Listen, I just
So
know.
two American, no, three Americans.
I know me, I could not do the overseas life. I just couldn't. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna
It is for
eat. Listen, I don't know what I'm gonna eat. You don't speak English, like it's just not gonna work for me.
everybody.
I can't Google
Honestly,
translate my mm-mm.
you learn to adjust, and honestly, it's it's not bad once you like get into it. Now it is different.
Yeah.
Like it is different, especially for people who haven't really experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it is what you make it, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I would say,
Hmm.
like, I wish I could at least done, like, I don't know if I can say a year, but like give me some months so I can say I experienced this. Like, I did it. But
Yeah.
the food would get
I think
me.
everybody should experience it at least once. Like even if you aren't a person who likes to go overseas or whatever the case may be, I think that everybody who has an idea of wanting to play overseas, I think that you should experience it at least once.
Yeah. That'll be the advice I tell my players. I'll give them that advice. I give them that advice. As we kind of like circle back around, wrap up, I want to kind of get back into a little bit of AAU. We've talked a lot of overseas. I've learned a lot just about the overseas life. A part of this podcast really is to educate these parents, educate these players, and talk all things basketball. But I do want to know, if you had a kid that played AAU, a daughter, how would you go about choosing the AAU team for them?
So if I had a daughter and I was trying to choose her an AAU team to play for, oh, that's a hard one because I think that it's hard for me because when I was so young, I was playing with high school girls.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say for me personally, depending on where her talent is, um, if she's in middle school and she's pretty much dominating the younger group or her group or whatever the case may be, I would look to put her on a team that's playing up or with older girls because I would want her to compete at a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
And I would want her not to just be, dominating the people that she's with, but also I want her to be able to see her weaknesses as well because when you're playing against older players, they're going to show you if you have a weakness for sure. And so if she's in middle school and depending on her talent, I would either put her with a high school team or an older team. Um, if her talent is not that great, I'll probably put her with her age group. Um, Now, if she's in high school, I want you to be playing on a top team. If
Right.
this is what you want to do, I want you to be playing on that top team. And whether you're sitting the bench and have to prove your point, or not your point, but prove that you can play with these girls by, training with them every day, working hard, or whatever the case may be, um, then so be it. I think that playing older is always a plus. And then also, if you're playing on a team and you're not really getting no playing time, that shows you that you have to kind of work harder. And it kind of shows you, it makes you figure out your work ethic and makes you figure out like what you're good at and things that you can contribute so that you can be, an asset to the team.
Yeah.
So if I was choosing, the game is so weird now as far as like AAU and all the politics
Girl
and,
is
and things
different.
like that.
It
Like
is just different.
it's real different, Like I mean, we had politics back then in the day, but the way it is now, I really don't know how
Yeah.
I would choose an AAU team.
Yeah.
Um, but I would definitely want her to be on a team where she can be seen. So as far as like we're trying to think about the future, can you be seen by college coaches playing with this older team?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Even if you are young and you get like 5 minutes to play, are you able to get on their radar?
Mm-hmm.
But so I would definitely want to put her on a team that's going to these college showing events, but also playing against good talent, top talent,
Yep.
because that's the only way you're going to get better.
Yep. And one thing I will say that I love now, like, I think, again, here we go. Back in my day,
Right,
when we
right.
were playing, like, we almost like had to play up. Like, I played with
Yeah.
DFW Elite, and I was the youngest. I was 6th grade, 5th grade, playing with 8th and
Yep.
9th graders. Like, I was the youngest. And one thing that I do like now is that it's talent everywhere, and it's so many good teams where, and I'm not saying this is everybody, but there are a lot of situations where you don't even really have to play up. Like, there's so many kids like your grade. Like, it's just about finding the right team, finding the right tournament, playing with the right people. And there are some situations, you know, some of these players, you know, can and need to play up. But I do think that
Right.
that is something that I like about AAU now. Like, there's so many teams, so many good teams, so many options. And you can really, like, I think sometimes when you play up and we play up so many grades, you can't really even showcase really what you can do. You know, but
Right.
being able to showcase what you can do against top talent, your grade, I think is also
Right.
important. But I do agree,
Oh,
like, yes.
I think that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You know, obviously, it looks good that you can compete with older. Like you said, I think for us back in the day, like we had to play up because across the board there was just more talent above
Mhm.
of my grade. My grade had some good talent, but at the same time, like the Mariah Jeffersons, the all of them players were above me. So it's
Mhm.
like if I can get out there and compete with them, then that looks good for me as far as like they know that I can compete with my grade, you know?
Right.
But I definitely agree that being able to be on your level and not have to play up so many so many grades and then you not really getting that time to play. I think that that's also good too because now it's like those girls are the ones that you're going to be, kind of compared to going into college and things like that cuz they're your grade.
Right. Right. I agree. This has been a really, really good episode. We always end the episode with rapid fire. So I got 5 questions for you. Answer to whatever comes to mind. You ready? Pass first point guard or scoring point guard?
Both.
Pick one. Listen, you know what's funny? I
Pick
put
one.
that I put that purposely because I'm like, Brooke was both low key. Like, I need to see which one she going with.
Oh Lord. I don't know. Or I'll say pass.
You going with pass?
Yeah, I'll say pass just because just for the episode.
Okay. Okay. Your favorite current college player?
Man, oof. I don't even I don't even watch basketball like that. Ashley,
You know what? I ain't gonna put you on spot like that. We can do your favorite college player other than
you know what?
yourself.
I'll let you know. I'll say
Okay.
Rory Hammond
Oh,
from
Rory gonna
Texas,
get
just
you.
because I've seen her grow up.
Rory gonna get you for saying her
I know
last
she gonna
name
get
wrong. But yes, we're going with Rory.
okay, yeah. I say Rory just because I've seen her grow up and now seeing her at Texas and seeing her being able to flourish and things like that. I think that's dope.
Yep. Would you rather play for a tough, demanding coach or a laid back, chill coach?
Tough and demanding for sure.
If you could live,
Hello, Karen.
right, KA. We love you,
Hello.
KA. If you could live anywhere in the US, where would it be and why?
Texas. Hello. Because we just have so many resources, and I mean, who wouldn't want to live in Texas?
Okay.
It's the best state.
And our last one, shout out to KA. Give me your best or favorite KA memory.
My best or favorite KA memory. Man, let me think. There's so many of them. Uh, I think it's so when we went into college, I think everybody can vouch for this. Like you knew when coach was having a good morning and when she wasn't having a good morning. Okay? Because if she was having a good morning, she came in, her hair was down, you know, if she was having one of them mornings where you better not say too much or it's gonna be crazy, she had her hair all wet in a ponytail. And so I think my favorite memory was like every morning, everybody looking at her like, is she coming in with good energy today or what? Like, what is it going to be, the vibe? So I think that was my favorite memory just because we would be laughing about it and she wouldn't even.
She wouldn't know. She wouldn't know. I love that. We started this episode with what's different overseas. I want to end with what would be different with Brooke in the next 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years, I think I'll definitely be probably either ending or done with my pro career. I'll be having some more babies, and we'll be out in Texas. I'll definitely be either coaching or training girls, and just living my life without basketball for sure.
I love it. I love it. Okay, to the babies. Brooke, this was amazing. Tell everyone where they can find you. And if you could leave a message to the parents, to the athletes, whoever you want to leave a message to, whatever's on your heart, do that. And we will be out of here.
All right. Well, you can find me overseas in Turkey, playing this season.
Social media. What's your social media?
Oh, social media. Oh, my bad. It's Brooke McCarty official on Instagram.
Okay.
At Brooke McCarty. Yeah, that's it, I think. And then Facebook, you can look me up on Facebook if you want to be on Facebook. But some advice that I would give parents or kids, I would say to enjoy the process, whatever process that is that you're going through, whether it's going into high school, going into college. I say do what you want to do as far as like, I know we're not grown as kids, but at the same time, you're making decisions based on your future. So really, figure out what you want to do and what will benefit you the most, what will make you most happy. I think that that's really important when you're making decisions about college or whatever the case may be, because you're the one that's going to be spending the time there, not your parents, not your friends. So really do your research and understand why you want to go somewhere. For parents, I think let those kids be kids. I say in hindsight, I was so focused on basketball, which paid off for me, and my mom was very focused on it too, but it paid off for me. But also I think that I missed out on a lot of things when I was younger, as far as like, normal stuff that kids were doing, because I was trying to be in the gym. I had a different purpose. But also enjoy those things outside of basketball, because you never know when the ball could stop bouncing. You never know, if you might have a different interest or whatever the case may be. So give yourself that opportunity to kind of explore, you outside of basketball. So
I love it.
that
I
would be
love
my.
it. Thank you. Thank you again for hopping on the It's Just Different podcast. Anybody listening, make sure you follow, share, subscribe, send us out to get this message out. Our goal is to help parents and athletes understand the process of AAU basketball, understand the process of women's basketball in general. So I appreciate you again, Brooke. We'll be back for another episode next week.